In this video, we are going to be talking about multidimensional array in Go programming. As you can see, I have my package main import statement and my main function. So we already talked about array in the previous lesson. An array is a collection of elements of the same data type. Collection of elements. That is more than one element. That is assigning multi-variable into a single variable, multi-element into a single variable. Whereas we can do that using this declaration. A is equal to, using this colon then equal to sign, then the length of the array followed by the data type and the members of that array. This is the member of the array, this is the data type. This is a single dimensional array. So now for multidimensional array is an array that holds another array data. So declaration of two-dimensional array, I have the var keyword, then variable name. X here is the length of the first array, then this is the length of the inner array, followed by the data type. That's how to declare a two-dimensional array in an expression form. For three-dimensional array, the length of the outermost part, then followed by the length of the inner part, then the innermost part, then the data type. So that's about two and three dimensional array declaration format. So for the single dimensional array, I can also declare it on multi-line. Instead of me having this, I can just put a line break in between here, then press enter and do it to the others also. I did that here successfully. This is the length of the array, then the data type, then I put each member on a single line. Then I use a for loop to loop through the value. Here it prints out v, value of what, for each of this loop. That is when r is equal to 0. As we already know, array are 0 based in their index form. So the first element in an array is 0 index, then the second element is 1 index, then the third element is 2 index. So when I is set to 0, it should print array I, accessing the member of an array A, then I, when I is 0, then it will print 5 as the value. Then when this increments the status of I will become 1. Then for the index 1, it prints the value 6. Then index 2, it prints the value 7. That's the function of this for loop, to loop through this value and print out each of the elements in it. Then I print a new line after that for loop has already executed. So now I see that I'm not in the directory I'm trying to work on. The directory I'm trying to work on is array directory under this GoLang. So the GoLang here is my root directory. So I have to do change directory to array. Then now I can see that my prompt is now in array directory. So I can now use ls to list the program that I have there. And the program I'm trying to run is multi-dimensional array. So I use the go run multi-dimensional array. Then it should return my output, which is for each of these elements, separating them with space. Then that is 5, 6, 7. So that's how to run this single line or single dimensional array using a for loop. Now for the two-dimensional array, I create a new variable, let's say b. Then I assign some value to it using this method. Then what are those values? The length of the first one is set to 3. Then the length of the second one should be 4, followed by the data type. Then I have my curly bracket. Here, let's say my first element, because the first element is saying that they are all 3 in number. So I can just use this curly bracket, comma, member 1, curly bracket, comma, member 2, then curly bracket, comma, that is for the third member. I don't need a comma here. So let me bring this bracket to the same line here. So for this now, This array is saying that we have 4 elements also inside this each of this array. This is the exterior one, 3. So inside this ones also, we also have four members. Now, what are those 4 members? Let me use 1, 2, 3, and 4. In this one, let me use 2, 3, 4, 5. And in this one, let me use 3, 4, 5, 6. So these are each member of this array. Array of the outside length is 3, 1, 2, and 3. While for each of this member, I also have an array of 4 members, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 here, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, and 3, 4, 5, 6 here. So how do I access the value of any member here? I can just say, okay, I want to print just I just want to print let's say I want to print the value 2 here. So what I'm going to access is let me use print ln function ln. Then what I'm going to access is the array, that is b, array name, then which index. The index I'm trying to access here should be, let's say I'm looking for this value 6. I want to access the value 6 here. The value 6 is on which member in the first or outermost member. It's on the third member. 1, 2, 3. It's in the third one here, so I use the value 3 here. That is on the third one. That is 2, because arrays are in 0 index. This is 0, member 0, member 2, and member 1 and member 2. So this is 2 to access the last one here. Then how do I access this last value? 0, 1, 2, 3. So that one will be 3. Then by the time I hit Control S, let me see the output of this. I recompile my program, and it will run my program returning this. So the member here is 6. The value that I was able to capture from using this p, the variable name, then the index I'm trying to run into, that is the third index, which is 2, 0, 1, 2. Then this index 3 is 0, 1, 2, 3, which is 6 here. So let me create a loop to loop over. I don't need this, so let me comment this. Let me create a loop to loop over for each of these value and print it out. So I use a for loop. Then I use the variable I. Then the condition, this is the initialization statement, conditional statement, and termination statement. For this conditional, let me use the length of this exterior one. So I will iterate through each of these. This is so member 1, 2, and 3. So for each of these, then I have another for loop to iterate inside this 1, 2, 3. Go inside again, loop for each of the member. Let's say this one is member A, this is member B, and this is member C. So go inside of these members, then access some of the value. The value here, the length here is 4, so I'm going to use 4. Then the print statement that I'll be using is print this value. So let me erase this ABC. The print function I'll be using here is to print the value of AI, that is the index of I, for each of these member. Loop through all the members. AIV is an integer, then it's going to print where the value of I, that is the index I, holding the first one, holding this member. Then it should print J. For each of these, it should be printing the J, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. Then for each of that, it should print the variable BI. That is, you should print this array of each index out, array of this index out, everything, array of this index out. Then you should access each of the J variable in this array. So after this, it should access the variable j. What I'm to have here is j. I can't use the same variable. It will get itself confused. You don't know the I to use. So I use the j as an iterator variable here. When j is less than 4, right? When j is less than the inner member, j should also increment. That is, this array v, array of the first one, this for loop will hold the value of this first member. Then this inner for loop will hold for each of these member, it will hold this one also. Let's see the result of that in our code. Oh, sorry, I haven't saved my file. So I save and I clear my screen first and I rerun. So as we can see here, what I have is the value when the index is 0, the index of I, which is I, when I is set to 0, that is AI, then j is also equal to 0. J is also equal to 0 at that moment. Then this bi is saying this array b, then the I variable, when the I iterator, this is the first member in array B, this is the second member in array B, and this is the third member in array B. So for the first member, that is the one in index 0, which is here, which is this one. This is the first member. Then the other v here is a formal specifier for this, which is bij, which means for each of these bi, for any index I find myself in, that is bi. Let's say this is the index I find myself in. Use this j to iterate over this. When j is equal to 0, the value is 1. When j is equal to 1, the value is 2. When j is equal to 2, the value is 3. And when j is equal to 3, the value is 4. As you can see, this bi prints for each of these external array, which is, this is the first member, second member on the next line, third member on this line. So for each of these member, it prints them out. When I is 0, it prints this, the index 0 here, so it prints this out. It does that 4 times because it have to run this other for loop also. So this one is now saying for each of these, this is the index 0, this is also index 0 of the I, this is the index 0 of the I up to this point. So for each of these, it says look at the member and use j to iterate over. Why j is less than 4? When j is equal to 0, it look at this first member, that is 0 index, print out 1. Look at the second, that is when j has now incremented to become 1. It look at this is the index 1. When j increment and become 2, it look at this. Then when j increment and become 4, it look at this. And 3, it look at this. Then when j increment and become 4, it doesn't pass this condition again, which is j is less than 4. So it doesn't pass this condition again. So it means it is done with that innermost loop. It now go back to this for loop and take the next member, which is 2, 3, 4, 5, which is what we have here. 2, 3, 4, 5. It check for after printing this 2, 3, 4, 5, it check for the j variable that is starting from 0 again, the first one, the 0 index, which is 2, that it is here. It check for the 1 index, which is 3. It check for the 2 index, which is 4, as according to what we have here, and that is how it will loop over and over the array. So that is for Go array.